Okay, gonna record some bugs and just clarify a few things on Deckard here, because I see a lot of people go some really bad talents that I kind of disagree with. Namely here is Field Study, so you get up to 40% spell power for 16 seconds. Your baseline scroll of sealing is 16 seconds. And then people also combine this because now that Ruby is so strong, you don't want to be having Sapphire for your gems and things like that. You can go either one of these, but Cube Mastery is pretty good at level 7, and then you go at Scroll of Stone Curse at level 16, and that's kind of like the build. So, if you can see here, my Scroll of Sealing does 329 damage. If I cast it over there, you'll see both of those targets get hit by 329 damage if I take this talent. So, first reason why this is bad is that with Ruby, overhealing on these potions is actually extremely common. And so the spell power buff from this is only going to increase the overhealing. It doesn't actually result in more healing. It can, but it's a lot less impactful than you think in terms of healing. Secondly, is that this spell power buff does not apply on the cast that triggers it. So if I Stone Curse one target, he still only takes 329 damage. And then I have this buff, but there's actually no way that you can get this damage buff on a second Scroll of Sealing unless you have your passive procced and you get the cooldown reduction or the level 7 talent. So I'll just stand over here for now, and then I'll just spam E up there, and you can see this still will only deal 329 damage, even though I'm spamming the button or whatever and buffering it. So that doesn't really work. Here's the second bug, is that it does work on the cast that triggers it, because if you hit 2 targets, the second target will get the 20% buff. Okay? Not 40% buff, but if I hit 2 targets simultaneously, which is these 2 dummies, one will get hit by 329, one will get hit by 395. So, one target got hit for 20% more damage. It's semi-random which target this is. I can't tell which one it's going to be. It's possibly the one closer to Deckard, it's possibly the one closer to the center of the scroll center. I don't know. But you can't really control that, so that doesn't really work. Here's why it's not really good with Ruby. We'll just take that for now. We'll take that for now. We'll take that. And now Scroll of Stone Curse. So this deals 200% more damage. So it triples the damage. You should clarify that. So when hitting 2 or more targets. So based on what we've learned already, is that if I'm hitting 2 or more targets, one of them is going to be taking 3 times damage, and one of them is going to be taking 3 times damage times 20%, right? No, not quite. So you'll see one target here takes 987. And I can't really pause that in game, can I? One target takes 987, which is 329 times 3. So that one is the one that had no spell power buff attached to it. The one that does have the spell power buff, I'll wait until this goes away, and we'll cast it again. That might not hit. The one that is hit by the spell power buff gets 1053, and that is not the 987 times 1.2. That is 329 times 1.2. And then you do 329 times 3 separately. So this spell power only affects the base damage of Scroll of Sealing. It does not synergize with Scroll of Stone Curse. It only affects the base damage. So spell power is sort of additive with this big number here, and it doesn't actually work or increase the damage. So instead of dealing 300% more damage, you're dealing 3.2 damage instead of 3.6 times damage on the scroll. Basically what this means is, not only is this not really helping your healing as much as you think, it's not helping your damage as much as you think either. And you would probably be getting more damage out of the armor reduce, most likely. And because it would result in a lot more damage from your team, because this is adding, right now, 20% spell power on hitting 2 people, that's adding a grand total of 66 damage to one target. Wow, at level 20, by the way. 66 whole damage to one target. If I hit, a bunch of targets, it's going to add 66 damage to one target. It's going to add whatever the double of that is, so 132 damage to a second target and 132 damage to a third target if I'm hitting 4 people. So that's also not very big. And if I'm already dealing 1,000 damage, I could just deal 150 more damage with the armor reduction directly instead. And this also gives me a reveal, and it also buffs all my team's damage. You lose out on the healing benefit, but you're already going to be overhealing a bunch with Ruby anyway, most likely. So, yeah, that's why these talents are kind of a bad combination, and I would still recommend Sapphire, because this talent wants you to hit Scroll of Sealing, but without Sapphire, you're also not able to hit Scroll of Sealing as reliably, because you need Sapphire to have the self-combo of Cube into Root to, with the big slow from Sapphire, 30% slow, or increase this slow by 30%, so it's a 65% slow, to actually land Scroll of Sealing reliably. I have tested this in the past, but pretty much any hero in the game, without any movement speed increases at all, can be standing still, AFK, wait until they see the scroll come out, and then start walking. Like, you add in the human reaction time. That's ignoring if they're already walking in some form to start with. And they can get out of it. And without Sapphire, they can, I think, still always get out of it with only the baseline Herodric Cube route, as long as their reaction time is, like, reasonable. So yeah, basically, in order to actually land Scroll of Sealing, you need Sapphire, so don't go this. This is, like, kind of okay, but realistically just go Sapphire so that you can actually land roots in the first place, and that'll actually get you way more value out of actually landing this and dealing more damage and hitting 2 targets reliably. And yeah. It also is much better for getting picks, which win the game, late game, and things like that, instead of Deckard dealing like 100 extra damage to a couple targets. Stuff like that. Okay, so that's why still Sapphire and Ruby are the pick, because you overheal a bunch with Ruby. These other 2 talents are really bad, because this one also suffers from the same problem that Field Study does, which is without Sapphire, you can't reliably land Scroll of Sealing. And yeah,